All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be quickly discussing the exception, okay, exception handling, exception or error handling. Okay. Now, what is an exception or what is an exception? Okay, exception is part of your throwable class. Okay, throwable is the superclass for all errors and exceptions. Okay. It's actually part of your java.lang package. And this represents anything that can be thrown using your throw keyword. Okay. Now, your throwable subclasses or your throwable superclass, sorry, the throwable superclass has two subclasses. These are your exception, okay, and your error. Okay. Exception are your recoverable problems that a program can handle. Okay. Example of this one are your invalid user inputs. Okay. For errors, okay, these are serious problems that are usually beyond the program's control. Example of this are your out of memory. Okay. Out of memory. Now, in terms of um, question if or difference, okay, if an error can be caught or handled, yes, your or sorry, no, uh, because handling of error is not recommended as it won't fix the root cause. While your exception can typically be handled or typically can be caught using the try-catch block. Now, what are the common causes? Okay, common causes of exceptions are programming mistakes or unexpected situations like invalid input or file not found. While on your error, the common causes of error are system level failures such as memory leaks or JVM crashes. Okay. Now, what are the key methods? Okay, in a these are your subclasses. Now, what are the key methods that are available in Throwable? Okay, we have your get message, which is being used to return a detailed message about the exception. You have your print stack trace, which is being used to print the sequence of method or method calls that will lead to the exception. Okay, we have your toString, which is which is being used to return a short description of your exception. Okay, now let's have some example on using the get message. Okay, using the get message. So example we will be doing here. So public or so I'll just be using an online Java compiler. Let's check. Let's use this one public class. Okay. No. So we have here public class. Okay. Get message sample. Okay. We'll have public static void main string args. Okay. Then we have here your try block. Okay. Then your catch block. Inside our try block, what we will be doing is to create or to create or define a variable that will handle an operation which will divide in the number 10 to a 0. Okay. Then, because we want to, because this will lead to your, this will possibly lead to a division of error or division by zero error. Okay. So here, what we will be catching is your arithmetic exception. Okay. Then, so system that out that print line error message. Class E, they will be using the get message. Okay. Again, what we are releasing or what we are doing here is to return a detailed message about the exception that will be handled. Okay. In this case, we will be having an arithmetic exception because we are trying to divide a number by zero. So let me just see. Okay. Ah, sorry. Oh, let's compile it again. And let's run. Right. So here, you can see we have here the message or error message, which is division by zero. Now, let's also have an example for your two string, right? Let me just use this one. I'll be removing. Okay, let me create an array. Okay, an array of numbers. Okay, we'll define one, two, three. Right? Then system that out that print line. Then we'll try to access numbers 5. Okay, which in this case, our index is only with an or the size of our index is 3. Okay, so we will be trying to access index 5. Now, we will be catching uh, the array index out of bounds exception. Okay. Then here, system.out.print line will print the short description. Okay. Because we will be using the to string. So to string. Okay. So let me just save. We have here the short description. Okay. Then lastly, we'll have an example, although we already used this during our discussion on list. We will be using the print stack trace, which prints the sequence of method calls that led to an exception. Okay, so here uh, we will be creating a string of text which will be initialized to null. Okay, then system that out that print line, okay, text that length. Okay, what we are trying to create here is that, or to display, is the size of our text. Okay, text variable. So here we will be calling the null pointer exception. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is that to print the sequence of method calls that will possibly lead to this exception. Okay, so we have here system that out to print. Okay, then stack trace. Okay, then that print stack trace. Okay, save. Okay. So Swansea, you can check the sequence. You have your Java lang that null pointer exception cannot invoke string that length. Okay, because our text is null. Okay, so next. Now, let's define, after getting this one, let's define what is an exception. Okay, an exception is an event. Okay, an event that disrupts the normal flow of a program's execution, of a program's execution. Now, this exception is an object that is thrown at runtime when an error occurs. Exceptions can be caused by various reasons, such as invalid user input, file not found, division by zero, or database connection failures. Now, what are the types of exceptions? Okay, we have the two types of exception. We have number one, the check exceptions. Okay, check exceptions. These are your exceptions that are checked at compile time. Okay, these are exceptions being checked at compile time. This means that if a method can cause a check exception, you must either handle it using a try-catch block or declare it using the throws keyword. So the solution possibly here will be a try-catch, or you have to use the throws keyword. Okay. Now, if you don't, the program won't compile. Okay. Now, check exceptions usually occur due to the external factor that a program cannot control but can prepare for. Okay. Like, or such as your file handling or database access errors. Now, what are the common examples of check exceptions? You have your IO exception. Okay. IO exception occurs when there is a problem with your input and output operations. Commonly, these are your file not found, okay, unable to read or write, or stream errors. Then you have your SQL exception. SQL exception occurs when there is a problem accessing the database like incorrect SQL queries or connection issues. Then you also have your class not found exception. Okay? For the class not found exception, this occurs when the JVM or the Java virtual machine tries to load a class, okay, at the runtime and can find your class. Okay. Now the second type of exception are your unchecked exceptions. Okay. For your unchecked exceptions, these are the exceptions that occur at a runtime, okay, and are not checked during the compile time. These exceptions are usually due to logical errors or incorrect use of your APIs, and this can be avoided by proper coding practices. Now, what are the unchecked exceptions, or before we go there, unchecked exceptions are actually subclasses of runtime exception. Okay, these are subclass of your runtime exception. Okay, now and with this one, it do not need to be declared in a method's throws or in a method's block or clause, okay, or handled with a try-catch blocks. Now, what are the common examples of unchecked exceptions? You have your what we have performed earlier, the arithmetic exception. Okay. We also have your null pointer, which we also used earlier. Okay. The null pointer. Your arithmetic exception occurs dividing when dividing number by zero or any arithmetic operations exceptions. Okay. Your null pointer exceptions. Your null pointer exception occurs when you are trying to use an object that has not been initialized. Now, array index, okay, array index out of bounds is also an example of unchecked exceptions. Array out of bounds exception is also an example of your unchecked exceptions. This occurs when you are trying to access an array or an array element beyond its size, okay, which we already uh, performed or provided an example earlier. Okay. Now let's try to create your or an example for IO exception. Okay. Now we'll try to import java.io file reader, or we just use the asterisk. Okay. Then here in our try block, we'll create a file reader. Okay. An object out of your file reader. So file is equals to new file reader, and we will try to access example that text. Okay. I think I have examples here. So samples, samples.txt. Right? Because I think I have example that text that I have or that we have used during our list discussion. Okay. I sorry, during our file handling discussion. Okay. So catch, what we are trying to catch is an IO exception. Okay. IO exception. Then system.out.print, we will be printing file not found or cannot be or cannot be read. Okay, save. Okay. So there you have it, file not found or cannot be read because we are trying to access samples that text. Okay. Now we also have your SQL exception. Okay, your SQL exception again, they are being used if we want to at least, okay, or they occur when there is a problem accessing your database. Okay, so we also try an example of class not found exception, or we'll try to create also an example for your SQL exception. Okay, so what we will be trying to import here also is Java import java.sql.asterisk. Okay, so here connection, I'll be creating a connection to driver manager dot get connection. Okay, so what I'll be creating here is your JDBC that MySQL colon slash local, okay, local host colon 3306, okay, slash 9 existent DB. Okay, then our root username and our password. Now what we will be trying to do here is to catch an SQL exception. Okay, so we'll try to print database access error e that get message. Okay, so let's try to run and let's try to compile and run. So you have your database access error. Okay, now let's try also your unchecked exceptions. Okay, or I think we have already checked exception. Okay. I think we have used this example earlier, the arithmetic exception, as well as the null pointer and array index out of bounds. Okay, so we want to go on the earlier part of this recording. Now, what is an error? Okay, let's discuss. We have already the first subclass of throwable. Then let's check the second subclass, which is, okay, the first is you have exception, and now we will be dealing with error. Okay, so what is an error? Error are serious problem or problems that are or that indicates something that has gone wrong, okay, with your JVM or your environment. Error is also part of your java.lang package and extends throwable. Now, error is a, or unlike exceptions, errors are usually not recoverable and should not be caught or handled in most cases. Now, why not handle or why can we not handle an error? Okay, number one is error are caused by severe conditions, and number two, catching them won't really fix the root cause, okay, and might make the program unstable. Now, let's have an example here for our error. Okay, so let me create. Okay, so we will be try or our example will be on out of memory error. So import java.util.asterisk. Okay. So let me create an array list. List is equals to new array list. Okay. Then while to list that add new int 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this happens or your what we are trying to depict here is an out of memory error. Okay, this happens when the JVM will run out of memory to allocate new objects. Okay, so uh, we'll try to save. Okay. For here, I'll just change this to memory uh, error example. Control C, Control S, save. Oh, it will lead to an out-of-memory error. Java heap space at memory example that main. Okay, so then the another example we have your stack overflow error. Okay, the stack overflow error, okay, is or happens when a method calls become too deep, deep or we experience this so-called infinite recursion. Okay, so maybe I'll just delete this one. Let me just reuse the memory error example last thing, but we will be demonstrating the stack overflow error. Okay, so public static void main string arg. Then you have your recursive